Hey, what's going on, YouTubers? This is Zen Manga here, and I hope you're having a great day. So today on our new segment, we're just really gonna focus on one main topic, and that is the man of the hour, which is Johnathan Hickman. So if you don't know, Powers of X and House of X is about to change the landscape of the Marvel Universe, and what I mean by that is there is rewriting basically the X-Men, and the entire mythos is about to change. So in a recent interview, Johnathan Hickman basically stated that he's been writing the story since he was a little kid. And what he really means by that, so no one is confused, is that he's been going through the process of tinkering with the philosophy and also the storyboard concerning the X-Men in terms of, like, you know, conscious thoughts and subconscious thoughts, you know what I mean, when it comes to like daydreaming and brainstorming, like how you want something to go. And in his interview, he also stated that he doesn't want to dismantle everything that was, but he also wants to add on to something that will become greater, right? Not using those words exactly, but that's what basically he's saying. Sometimes when writers write a brand new story and then they leave, it's kind of like they're leaving like everything for the next writer, and he definitely does not want to do that. Me personally, I think Johnathan Hickman's writing is immaculate. It is amazing. I know of him as he's writing Fantastic Four, the Avengers, anything with Johnathan Hickman. I know it's going to be a full fleshed out story that doesn't just, it's not a lead on, right? It leads you through a immaculate story where you're going from point A to point B, and then you might go back to point A in order to get to point C, right? So his stories are really good, and just by the looks of it, if we're just looking at the cover arts, right, and the variants, they look amazing, and they seem to already tell a story that the X-Men are coming back, right? The mutants are coming back. And what I mean by that is, for the last decade, for I would say the last 10 years, the X-Men and all of the mutants have been kind of like pushed to the wayside, as if they were the lost stepchild who was the stepchild of the stepchild. And what I mean by that is we had a whole event versus the Inhumans versus the basically the X-Men and the mutants, and I thought it was horribly done. And the reason being is because the X-Men have always had a full fleshed out story. The many mutants, the trials and tribulations that they've gone through in terms of just people going against mutants and things of that nature. So there's been a long history. But then when it comes to the Inhumans, they've had a history, but it hasn't been as fleshed out and full drawn out. So for them to have that kind of like event where it's like the Inhumans versus the X-Men, it wasn't done well, right? And because it wasn't done well, we also saw a drop in a couple things, right? People's interest for the X-Men stories that weren't that good, or reimaginings. So you might ask the question, so what makes this one a little bit different? For me personally, I think Johnathan Hickman is a great writer, number one. I think his reimagining or his foretelling for the mutants in general has come at a perfect time. And the reason why I said it's come at a perfect time is because now that we have the merger with, well, basically Disney bought out all the rights for Fox mutants and characters and such forth. Now they can produce those type of movies, and because the fan and the public know about this, I think that we're eager to see the possibilities, right, of where the X-Men, where the mutants might go in terms of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, of course, we know that the two aren't linked together, but sometimes it does give you into the preview of the possibilities, right? And I think a lot of people are eager to see the X-Men in a new light, and I think the story is going to do really well. Number one, it has beautiful variant art, and that doesn't really tell the full story, but what tells the full story is Johnathan Hickman and his writing. So if you haven't read any of his comics book before, I would suggest that you start off with Fantastic Four, Johnathan Hickman's Fantastic Four, going into the Avengers, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, right? But just from reading interviews, Johnathan Hickman and a couple other writers seem to already believe that this story is going to be phenomenal, right? Sometimes it's easy to boister a story or just a writer, but I think in this case, for them to be a little bit cocky, right, to say the least, when it comes to the X-Men, and knowing that they have to undo a lot of wrong, to say the least, that it's gonna happen, and it's gonna happen really well. So check out these variant arts that I'm about to put up, and then I'll check you all later. Please give me a like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts about the future of the X-Men, the mutants in general, and what are your what is your hypothesis on what's gonna happen in terms of them changing the landscape and the mythos for the X-Men and the mutants, and how it's gonna lead into the future of Marvel Comics and possibly the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is Zen Manga saying take care, peace, love, and prosperity.